All right, so hello and welcome back. So, we're going to take a look at the Battle of Targoviste, part 1 of 2, Vlad the Impaler Rises. I have watched all of the Netflix series of the Rise of the Ottomans, if that's what it's called on Netflix, so it's not very... Okay, watch it if you want, but it's historically, it's iffy. But anyway, we're going to watch the actual historical stuff by History March. Mine. I'm 10 out of 10 today. History March. So there are original videos in the description. Thank you to my patrons. I thank you people for watching. If you like this stuff, please leave a like. Otherwise, let's get into Vlad the Impaler.
Brothers Vlad and Radu, sons of the former Vlachian Prince Vlad II, grew up in the Ottoman court as princely hostages, educated in the same Muslim spirit as their friend, young Mehmed II, the future Ottoman Sultan.
Wow, okay, back up. All right, so let's talk about this. So, Vlad II Dracula is the father of Vlad III, the Impaler, and Radu III, the Handsome. Mehmed II is the Sultan's son, one of many. He will become the actual Sultan eventually. And Vlad will become, who Vlad is. So what happened here was Mehmed's dad, Mehmed I, I think, basically said, hey, you, Vlad II, I've been hearing some rumors that you're going to ally with the Hungarians. And the whole reason Wallachia basically exists is a border state between Hungary, Wallachia, and the Ottomans. All they're really there for is to be a border state, and that's it. Hungary and the Ottomans can agree to. So that's what they're there for. Vlad II tries to get, uppity with the Hungarians. Mehmed I is like, And he says, hey, come here. I'm going to take both of your sons as educated hostages. Well, basically hostages in Constantinople. Now, they're going to be educated in the Ottoman court. I wouldn't necessarily say they're hostages, but that's what they really are. They could be killed if Vlad II does something stupid. So they took his sons. So that's the backdrop.
As he matured, Vlad served with distinction with the elite Janissaries and was praised for his soldierly qualities. But his roughness and fearless resistance to becoming a Muslim made him subject to brutal punishments. Vlad hasn't forgotten this, even years after he deserted the Ottoman court to join the Hungarian ranks.
So he joined the Janissaries. The Janissaries were young boys taken from Christian families to join a unit that was loyal to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, they were all Christian. They're all Eastern Orthodox, basically. Christians. They were just taken. They could be taken as indebted, given off, taken as a tax. There's a lot of ways you could become a Janissary. And that's what they were. So he was a Janissary, then he left, surprisingly.
Wishing to dominate the last increment of the Danube River, the Crescent of Islam clashes with the Cross of Christianity at Belgrade in July of 1456. Led by Sultan Mehmed II, the Ottomans are defeated and forced to make a humiliating retreat. But after years of conflict, the Hungarian army also suffers great losses in men and materials. This creates a window of opportunity for young Vlad. Placed in charge of protecting the Transylvanian border by the Hungarian king, Vlad uses his position to exploit the military power vacuum and marches into Vlachia ahead of a small mercenary force. But is soon opposed by the incumbent Vladislav II near Tagshaw.
Because his dad, Vlad II, had been dethroned, so Vlad, using special military maneuvers, special military operation, conducted in our country. It's going to take over the country. Also, these are cavalry, so the white and the blue, in case you don't know, and the blues are infantry. Most likely.
The two leaders agree to decide the battle with a nightly duel. And amidst cheers from the two armies, Vlad wins the duel and kills Vladislav. He then proceeds.
Well, hey, the soldiers are happy. We didn't have to die, so very good. You people can go, fight over your damn throne. Well, I get to go home.
to march unopposed into the Vlachian capital of Targoviste. There he crowns himself as Voivode of Vlachia in August 1456. His divine right to the throne is confirmed the following night by a spectacular comet in the night sky. Wasting no time, Vlad hires his own uniformed mercenary army and moves to consolidate his power and reform the country. He enforces taxes on the boyars who were previously all but free from taxation. Furthermore, he eliminates those plotting to kill him, going after powerful boyars responsible for the killing of his father and brother. Their estates are confiscated and given to the peasants who, in exchange, are to be trained during post-harvest months for military service. Vlad rids Vlachia of people.
So we'll just walk through this. So he hires his mercenary army, consolidates power, which you do, and forces reforms. The boyars, basically, very oversimplification here. They're in Russia. Nobles, minor nobles, very oversimplification. In Russia terms, they were noble cavalrymen that also did stuff on the side, landowner. Anyway, long story short, nobles. So he eliminates the powerful ones, right? Confiscates their lands, gives it to peasants, which is good for the peasants, to improve the army quality, because they're like, hey, this land is for you, but you must serve in the army. But he's trying to get the army up because he knows for a fact the Ottomans are going to come over and try to take him out.
People who pollute the land. Thieves are impaled. Beggars, homeless, and the plague-infested are burned alive in barns. In Vlad's opinion, they depart earthly sufferings for a better afterlife.
Well, there you go. He's not exactly the most kind person, I would say. But he actually, even today in Romania, is revered for fighting for Romanian independence.
He further centralizes his realm by building fortresses and churches and expands the capital of Targoviste and other cities. He also creates a princely order by naming the best soldiers Vitaz, meaning brave. These knights become the new nobility who support only Vlad Tepes. He undertakes road construction to enhance domestic and international trade revenue. He gives subsidies to handymen to open their businesses and encourages the middle class with partial tax exemption. Installs custom posts at the borders, forcing foreign merchants to pay taxes when traveling through or doing business in Vlachia, which greatly enriches the treasury.
He is doing absolutely everything he can to reform this country, and I'm kind of for it. Well, besides the burning of people, and getting rid of the undesirables and all that stuff. But you know, he's moving this country quite along very fast.
For all intents and purposes, Vlad rules his realm with confidence and an iron fist, and he soon goes after his rivals.
I should mention the reason these... Okay, let's back up. So he installs customs posts, basically on borders, and really when you enter cities, because this is medieval times, it's not like you just have police at all. First of all, police at all. Second, police anywhere. So the way to get money, revenue, tariffs, later, but really it's just direct taxation of people. So you go up to people like, hey, give me whatever you made this year. And custom posts for, you know, independent traders. They pay you the toll, basically, to trade in that city or whatever.
By 1458, Vlachian army begins raiding Saxon-dominated Transylvania, bringing carnage to communities which shelter many of Vlad's rivals to the crown. He orders suspected traitors to be impaled in full view of residents and attempts to burn the monumental Black Church of Brasov. He also regains possession of Bran Castle, once owned by his grandfather. Needless to say, by 1460, the Saxon establishment in Transylvania is furious, but their bitter complaints about Vlad's cruelty fall on the deaf ears of King Matthias.
King Matthias is currently the king of Hungary, so just remember that.
The unhappy merchants seek their own justice by deciding to eliminate the Vlachian voivode and replace him with Dan III, one of the men behind the murder of Vlad's father and brother. But it soon proves to be a doomed venture as Vlad gets word of their operation and ambushes their army.
This is a complete L-shaped this is more of a U-shaped ambush, but this army would have died in an ambush, first of all, and he's like, fight me. And Vlad's like, of course. And Vlad kills him, because Vlad is actually very good at personal combat.
Again, rising to the occasion, Vlad Tepes humiliates Dan III in a spectacular duel. Then he forces him to dig his own grave in full view of his men before he is decapitated and his followers impaled. Further raids into duchies which refused Vlad's rule lead to the massacre of tens of thousands of civilians. And by now, the greatly displeased King Matthias realizes that his Transylvanian province is threatened. An agreement is reached with Vlad Tepes. The Saxons agree to return all of Vlad's rivals and dissidents, pay 15,500 forints, and supply soldiers. In exchange, Vlad promises to stop the Ottomans from entering Transylvania. With most of his rivals dead and his northwestern border secured, the Vlachian voivode projects his power further by building a new Vlachian capital closer to the Danube. Located in the marshes of the Dębovica River, Bucharest is surrounded by natural moats infested with leeches, snakes, and mosquitoes. Good natural deterrents for any invading army.
It's also good natural deterrence from living as a human being, but yeah.
From his new capital, Vlad Tepes hopes to unite all Vlachs into one kingdom and, confident of his power, he provides military aid to Prince Stefan, who is attempting to take the throne of Moldavia, dutifully keeping his oath of loyalty he'd given to his cousin. In response to Vlad's collaboration with Stefan, a fast-moving Ottoman force embarks on a campaign of pillage and rape in southern Vlachia. After their raid, the Ottoman retreat is slowed by the plunder and prisoners, and before they can reach the Danube, the Ottomans are intercepted by Vlad's cavalry. Only a few Turks live to cross the Danube and tell the tale. Considering the Ottoman raid to be a violation of the treaty he has with Sultan Mehmed, Vlad refuses to pay yearly tribute and to pledge vassalage. Now we face...
Because remember, at this time, quote-unquote, this is a border state, and it's supposedly supposed to, 1, pay tribute of a lot of money to the Sultan, 2, supposed to technically be the Sultan's vassal. You can see why an Ottoman raid might not exactly do very well to make 2 of those things happen for you if you're the Ottomans, so, you know.
Faces the mighty Ottoman army, but he hopes that the crusade called by Pope Pius against the Ottomans will relieve some of the pressure on Vlachia. But with European kingdoms...
And we have to remember, the Crusades have been over for a very long time now, and calling another one is like, yeah, no Christian's really gonna come, let's put it that way.
Embroiled in intrigue and warfare against each other, hardly anyone commits to the Christian cause, and by 1461, the Pope's call for a crusade rings hollow. Left to face the Ottomans alone, Vlad agrees to pay tribute and send young boys to be trained as janissaries. Around this time, one of Vlad's most trusted and valuable allies, Mihail Szilágy, is captured in Bulgaria by the Ottomans. Considered to be a spy, he is brought to Constantinople, where he is tortured and eventually sawed in half. Soon
yeah, the medieval time is brutal. We'll just leave it there. Torture, brutal, killing people, maiming people, all standard usual procedure.
After, a 10,000-strong Ottoman contingent enters Vlachia to collect the tribute and the new recruits, led by the commander of Nicopolis, Hamza Pasha. Seeing the large force, Vlad suspects that Hamza's real mission is to capture him. The Vlachian voivode reacts and attacks the approaching Ottoman contingent with full force, decimating them down to a man. He impales thousands of dead Turks around Targoviste and sends Hamza's head in a jar to King Matthias as proof of the Vlachian commitment to fight the Ottomans.
That's kind of disturbing. I hope that jar's not around anymore. Leave a comment if it is, if you're from Hungary or Romania today.
But despite this, he receives no reply and no help from the Hungarian king. Vlad spends the rest of 1461 training his army for war and fortifies Bucharest with heavy palisades and brick bastions, installing cannons along the fortification perimeter. Aware that Mehmed's armies are fighting in Anatolia, Vlad prepares to raid Ottoman territory. And in early 1462, while en route to cross the frozen Danube, Vlachian cavalry stops not far from Giurgiu, one of the strongest heavily fortified northern Ottoman military bases. dressed as a high-ranking Ottoman official ahead of his entourage, Vlad Tepes,
Because he killed the Ottoman officials, coming to collect tribute. He has their uniforms.
approaches the fortress on a snowy day and, speaking in perfect Turkish, orders the garrison commander to open the gates.
Because he had been trained all of his life in the Ottoman court. You can see how the Ottomans indirectly made this man very dangerous.
The sentries let him in, believing he must be an important official, as he is travelling with many bodyguards. Upon entering, Vlad's men silence the sentries and open the gates wide for the rest of the Vlachian cavalry to rush in and take over the fortress. They slaughter the Ottoman garrison and set their quarters ablaze after looting them. What followed next would fuel the legend of Vlad the Impaler. Over the next 2 weeks, his cavalrymen engaged in raids that cover 800 kilometers along the frozen Danube all the way to the Black Sea. Aiming to destroy bridgeheads that the Ottomans might use to cross the Vlachia, Vlad's army sacks Ottoman and other non-Christian settlements on the Bulgarian Danube riverbank and continues to raid south into Ottoman territory over the next few months. For the Vlads living in Bulgaria since Dacian times, these are blessed days. At least for a time, they regain their freedom from the Ottoman yoke. Countless numbers of them join the fight, either seeking revenge or because they believe in Vlad's mission. The news spreads like wildfire.
Because, again, Bulgarians were there, and they're Eastern Orthodox Christians.
Wildfire about the carnage left in the wake of Vlad's mini-crusade. The Vlachian voivode now hopes that more Christians will rally to his banner to fight off the mighty Ottomans.
His raids were absolutely devastating on that side of the border. So, in his letter to King Matthias in February 1462, Vlad Tepes asked for help to continue the fight. The prince lists the names of important locations he has destroyed. Among them, I can't say any of those. I'm not going to try to pronounce them, but, and much of it, I'm not even going to say it. No help came. In the letters, Vlad Tepes chillingly estimated the number of Turks killed and Bulgarian collaborators at 23,884, concluding that the number does not include those we burned in homes or whose heads were not cut by our soldiers. Yeah, the raids, again, were absolutely devastating on the side for the Ottomans. To substantiate his war report to the Hungarian, Vlad Tepes had the letter delivered with 2 large bags filled with noses and ears of dead Turks. Yep. That's a Vlad Tepes for you. So, hope you guys liked the video. We will continue the series. Part 2 should be up there. Otherwise, hope you people have a good rest of your day. Please subscribe and please like if you like this stuff. Otherwise, I'll see people later.